to you before, a couple of days ago, and obviously today, to give you an indication of what's happening next. So we've got the team here from Red Card. They'll go through a lot of things with you and obviously introduce themselves and where they're from and the background and what they're going to be covering for the next couple of hours. There is filming going on, but that's not going on like ITV or anything. It's just it'll be on. It will be on their website. But obviously, feel free to ask questions during the session and so forth. But just enjoy it, and just to give you all a bit of awareness about what they're going to be talking about. All right, so I'll leave it in your hands to take over.
Thank you, welcome. We are, as Michelle said, we're Red Card Gambling Support Project. Our aim is to raise awareness of the problems of gambling addiction, how it can damage the kazoo, and how you can be aware of the signs. So that's basically the timetable for today. We've got Tony, who will be talking to you about his experience with gambling addiction. Then we'll have a short, after Tony, we'll have a short break, because on a day like this, you probably keeping concentration can be challenging. And then Bradley is our addiction specialist, who will be talking more about the kind of if you like, the biology of addiction and why it happens and how it affects you, and the neurochemistry and that side of things. And then we will have questions at the end. We will have time for questions at the end. We're not going to ask you questions. So if you've got any burning issues that you want to raise, if you can hang on to the end to ask questions. If you really, really desperately want to ask a question at that moment, because you think you might lose, but then by all means do. But it's just easier for the structure if we keep it to the end. As Michelle said, we're filmed basically so that we can look back and see how we do it and improve our performance. That is more for us. So that's probably enough from me. I'll hand you over to Tony.
Okay, guys. Thanks for coming anyway. As Chris said, we're all about gambling awareness and education. I am founder of Red Card Gambling Support Project. I'm also the author of my book, Red Card, which basically details my whole life and my whole battle with gambling addiction. So, in a nutshell, in terms of what I lost, in terms of what I went through, the health issues, the money, finance, everything, I lost £500,000 in gambling addiction over a 20-year period. So I'll just say that again, £500,000. That was 2 houses, flats, cars, cash around the football career. So, I've told you now I'm a former gambling addict, and there's more and more people that need to talk about it. There is sportsmen and sportswomen, within this world that, have been through addiction, but it's a shame that they can't actually talk about it. But I do understand why people can't talk about it, because there is an element of shame, there is embarrassment, in telling your friends and your family. So it is really, really hard. But I'm fortunate that I can talk about it, and this is what I'm going to continue to do over the coming years and months. So it's important that a lot more of us talk about it, get that secret, get that denial, get it all out. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member, whether it's a work colleague, talk to somebody, because it will eat you up. So I'll continue with Red Card Gambling Support Project. We go around organisations such as Spring Charity and basically just spread the awareness, spread the education, and really get it out there. So that's what we're going to be doing in the next few months. Now, this is some stats about gambling. Now, is there anyone in this room that doesn't know what gambling is? Silly question, maybe. Right, so we all know what gambling is. These are some of the stats. For instance, average gambling debt, 10 grand. Yeah. 2007, we had 250,000 gamblers in the UK, problem gamblers. Now that's 500,000, and that's rising. The reason why it's rising, we're going to come on to later, but it's all about the promotion, it's all about the advertising gambling. It's the promotion, it's continuous promotion, that's what it's about now, so that's why the numbers are rising. I live in Enfield, so for instance, does anybody know what FOBTs are?
What's it again?
FOBTs. It's another name, but you probably know it as the machines, yeah?
Probably.
Yeah? Put your hands up if you know about the machines. Yeah. I know, because a lot of people, especially your age group, 18, 24-year-olds, you know, they are heavily getting involved in these gambling machines. They're called fixed off betting terminals, and they are highly addictive.
Yeah.
So you will have friends, you will know somebody, you know, that's with these machines. So in Enfield, £60 million was lost in 2014 on those FOBTs. 2.5 billion on FOBTs in 2014. We've got 33% of gambling addicts use laptops or mobiles. So that's about the promotion. So all these stats here, the biggest stat that I'm interested in is about the gambling industry. So the reason why there is so much promotion, the reason why there's so much advertising on our airways, on our TV screens, and everywhere, in the newspapers, absolutely everywhere, is at the end of the day, the government make millions and millions and millions of pounds out of the gambling industry. The gambling industry had millions and millions of pounds. So at the end of the day, it's all about money at the end of the day. You know, gambling's not going anywhere, promotion will continue, it really is not going anywhere. And one thing I want to state which is what Red Card are all about, I really want to state this clearly, is that we're not about stopping people from gambling. At the end of the day, gambling is a British culture, to some people it's a social pastime, so we're not about telling people, no, you can't gamble, because everyone has the right to do what they want. It's freedom of choice, everyone has their want if they want to gamble. But what we're about is raising awareness of what can actually happen if you do become addicted. That's what we're really about. A bit about my career. So started at Bristol City. Any football people? Yeah. You see football?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Bristol City. 82. It was then apprentices, called scholars now, as you know. Unfortunately for me, I only had a year of my apprenticeship and I got kicked out before I turned professional, and I was a little bit wild to be honest. Yeah. So then I went to the non-league circuit, so all the clubs out there, the Leeds, Stratford, all in the Midlands. If you're familiar with the Midlands. Then I moved to London at 18 years old. Dulwich Hamlet Football Club. It's going to be very relevant in terms of my story when we continue a bit later. And then I went into professional football in 1990 when I signed for Stoke. Before that, I did go to Sweden. Spent a year in Sweden, and Sweden, absolutely amazing country. So I had a good time there, and obviously had 8 years as a pro. But it was through my 8 years as a footballer where the addiction kicked in. And it wasn't nothing to do with, you know, earning more money, because it doesn't matter whether you're on JSA, it doesn't matter whether you're a college student or university, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant about how much you earn. Anybody can become addicted to gambling. So, yes, I did have more money. Yes, I signed for Stoke City in the second division, which is obviously the championship these days. And my life did change. But unfortunately, you know, it changed in the wrong way. And I became addicted to casinos. So I'd come out of training, for instance, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, straight down the casino, spend the whole afternoon in the casino. Do that 3 or 4 times a week. Straight to the bookies after training, so yeah, it gripped me. It really did grip me. And it's one of those things that questions will come later. Yeah. No, go on, you got one. Go on.
How much, like, say...
I know you're easy to say about wages this one.
How much, how do I word it? How much did you win off your first, like, gambling prize to start off, like, your addiction?
What, my first big win or something?
Yeah. Because that's the thing that would have got you hooked mostly, is the win, the thrill of the win.
Well, I'll tell you what, the next star we're going to come on to shortly how it actually started. Yeah, then you get an idea. But yeah, as those 8 years ago, I finished football 30, so I've probably lost 5 years of the game in terms of, you know, my form, the mental state. You know, that's why I moved from club to club. You know, I couldn't get stable. Stoke was the longest club I stayed at for 3 years. My head was a complete mess. I had lots of mental health issues. So, you know, at the end of the day, I finished my football career 5 years early. And when I finished my football career, this is something which I decided to do, and it's simply because at the end of the day, I couldn't handle the amount of creditors, the bailiffs, you know, all the debts I had, whether it's credit cards, whether it's loans, whether it's pawnbrokers, everything. You know, I tried everything, selling cars, all that kind. And what I finished up, I ended up with a £192,000 bankruptcy file. Does anybody know what bankruptcy is? Yeah, right. So it's not for everybody. It doesn't fit with everybody. There's certain criteria, etc. So if you own £1 million house, you are forced to sell that house to pay off your debts. But fortunately for me, by the time I finished football, I'd lost everything. You know, all I had left was all these 32 creditors chasing me for debts. So £192,000. It's about £600 or £700 to file for bankruptcy. So I filed for bankruptcy. got accepted. And to be honest with you, when I walked out the High Court with my brother, it was a massive relief, absolutely massive relief to walk out of that High Court and wipe out that £192,000, because that's what it does, bankruptcy, it clears your debts. But then there's a downside, so you won't be able to get credit for 6 years. It will stay on your credit file for 6 years. So all these things you have to take into account. But for me, I wanted to stop gambling. So in terms of me getting credit, I didn't care about that. That meant, well, great, I can't borrow any more money. So and it got rid of my debt. It was a chance for me to start again, start afresh and start again. So that helped me. So moving on, why did I start gambling? So we'll go back to your question shortly, but 18 years old. I mentioned earlier about Dudley Chamberlain Football Club. Yeah. So fortunately for me, I signed for Dudley Chamberlain, moved to London from Coventry, and signed for Dudley Chamberlain in terms of developing the football, getting into semi-pro football. You all know about semi-pro football? Yeah. Dudley Chamberlain, very good club. We had players them days. Alan Pardue was the captain of our first team. We had Andy Gray, who went on to play Crystal Palace. We had Eddie McCaldrick. We had a few others. So we had a really good, talented squad of semi-professional footballers. Unfortunately for me, right outside Dudley Chamberlain Football Club was the bookies. This question here about peer pressure. I moved from Coventry. If you try and put yourselves in my shoes, I've moved from Coventry. I'm only 18 years old, and back then, London. You all know this anyway. London isn't London how it was back then. So when I moved to London, it was like the big lights, the big city. And my family said, "Oh, be careful in London," and all that. But I really wanted to come to London. So all the guys, there was young guys in the football team, doing their little football coupons on a Saturday afternoon, and I just got involved. I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to, just be part of a group. Because at the end of the day, I did feel isolated coming from Coventry and joining a new football club and being in the big city of London. So I joined in with them, with a little group of lads that had their football bets, and that's how it all started for me. I did lose the first bet. I remember it being 5 aways on a football coupon. I lost that, but it got me then. I got the buzz, I got the adrenaline. So going to your question about the first big win. My first big win came when a play spot. You know anything about the bookies and what bets they do with the bookies?
No.
Okay, yeah. So play spots is basically picking six horses in the first 6 races of any meeting, basically. And I remember winning £1,000 at a Stratford play spot. That was my biggest win on the bookies. In terms of my biggest win elsewhere, the casinos. I remember walking away from casino because I was a regular at Coventry Casino. I remember walking away one night with £2,500. And that's great, because as a gambler you will get wins. It's normal, you will get wins. The danger is that once you get those wins you start feeling that buzz and you think it can happen every week, and it doesn't go like that, does it? If that was the case, we'd all be rich. So, that's the logic of it, but unfortunately, logically we don't think like that. You have a win, you keep going back, then you lose, then you chase, and it's a downward spiral. So it's a whole different cycle of addiction, and that's what we talk about with the chase. The chase is when, obviously, as you know, you've lost money, and once it's gripped you have to go back. You can't wait for that bookies to open in the morning. You can't wait. You literally can't wait for that bookies to open. It's a killer. It really is a killer. So, and I couldn't stop. It becomes a compulsion. It really does grip hold of you, and that's why I say to you about educational awareness. That once it starts to affect your self-being and the way you think and your home life and your health, once it starts to affect you in that way, that's when you've got to say, right, okay, I've got to talk to somebody. I've got to, whether it's your mum, whether it's your dad, whether it's a close friend, you've got to talk to somebody. Because if you don't, you'll just be that downward spiral. You'll dig yourself a deeper and deeper hole. And unfortunately, some people don't get out of that hole. So that's the escalation and that's the chase. So these are the fixed odds terminals we talked about earlier. Yeah. So in the betting industry, that's what they call fixed odds betting terminals. Yeah. Cocaine and gambling. So I've got friends. I'm guessing you all know what this is. Yeah.
We've had discussions like that.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So as we've started this project in the last 2 years, we've met with all kinds of different people, different organisations, people from Valley Power, people from every organisation. And the one thing we've found is that young adults are seriously getting addicted to these FOBTs. I've even got nephews that are on it. Even though what I've been through, even me talking to them, is hard work. Because they are highly addictive. As you know, you can win £500 in one spin. So, and that's again what I talk about when you have that big win and the adrenaline, that feeling, that euphoria. You want it again, you think, yes, well, I'll win another £500, but unfortunately, it don't work like that. 4 machines for bookmakers, that's the present legislation at the moment. So, I think personally that because of the way the government is, because of the way the gambling industry is, that might change. But I hope it doesn't. But 4 machines for bookmakers, that's what they're allowed at the moment. Bookies.
Betting shop.
Yeah, betting shop. Yeah.
That's a different word for it.
Yeah. So.
More official.
Yeah. So that's the situation with the FFVT at the moment. 33,000 in the UK. As I said earlier, these are compulsive gambling. I don't know if you know people. We'll talk about it later. But you know, part of my research, I've been in bookies where you watch someone on the machine, they'll use their last 100 quid, and another 100 quid will go. And the next thing you know, it's to the counter, debit card, another 200 quid, bam. It's horrible to watch because I've been through it. It's horrible to watch, and you look on the faces of these people and think, Jesus, you've got to stop, man. And so debit. There's another one. Say that again, sorry.
I've seen people go in there with pounds and
Yeah.
ask for fees and stuff.
Yeah. It's, as I said, it's highly addictive. So this is interesting, a bit about damage machines and assaulting betting stuff, and that's happening a lot. That's happening a lot these days.
Did you actually assault them?
Yeah.
Did you do it?
No, I never did it. No. you Google assaults on betting stuff, and you see it. Yeah, you know, people have been killed. You know, because at the end of the day, when we talk about how the addiction grips you, some addicts, you know, for whatever reason, we're all different and all that in our makeup, but some addicts can't handle what's happening to them. So whether they take it out on the shop staff, and that can lead to, you know, coming back and robbing the shop. That's happened many times in terms of, you know, robbery of the shop. Yeah, they can't take it. They literally can't take it. Say that again, boss.
I know someone who went there for 25 years and
Yeah. And there's lots of stories. Sometimes, you know, you used to have one, especially with a female. You know, one staff on night, that's all changed. I'm trying to get 2 people on night stuff. Because at the end of the day, that's the prime target. A female alone in a book is 8 o'clock at night, bang. That urge, exactly.
The next level.
Exactly. And I'm really, really fortunate I never got to that point. Yeah. I've had lots of issues and mental health issues and other stuff, but I've never got to the point where, you know, I hurt someone or killed, you know.
So what did you do with your winnings then? Before you took that? Pursue more of that?
Went back in the machine.
Yeah, exactly. That's what exactly. Because obviously, what you remember, every time I won, I was always chasing, I was always catching up. So I was always in debt. I was never like, you know, I don't know, 10, 20 grand up. I was never in that position. You know, so I was always on the chase. So here we go. We talked about that. The next one. We talked about different issues. What the fella just mentioned here. Certain situations, what people have been through. So I just want to give you a couple of case studies. So this guy you probably, well, you will know, I'm sure. Greg Rutherford, yeah? Please say you know him. Greg Rutherford.
He's not ringing a bell right
The
now.
football player.
No, he's an athlete, man. Gold medalist.
In what?
I can't believe it.
Athlete in what?
Long jump, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wait, who? Black guy?
No, white guy, but he's...
And Boston.
Right, anyway, right. You lost me now, right. Olympic gold medalist. See, Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah.
Greg Rutherford's former manager has been jailed for 18 months after he pocketed sponsorship and appearance fees in excess of £48,000 from the London 2012 hero, yeah, and former Strictly Come Dancing star to feed his gambler between 2 and 14 and 15.
That's that old guy.
No, he's not.
No, you're talking about the host.
You're talking about the host, man. He's a host actress.
He's got another planet. Right. Gabby Stone, 34, admitted to fraud by abusive position. Stone's friends and family repaid the Milton Keynes-born athlete in full as he sought help to stop gambling. But in a victim impact statement read to the court, Mr. Rutherford said, "The thought that someone who had been responsible for a large part of my life and someone I put my trust in to handle a major source of my income had been dishonest and left me feeling sick." So that's just another angle in terms of how, you know, you trust people and how they can, you know, betray you all because of their gambling. Shame. This is quite sad to be honest with you. A young accountant who plunged to his death from an office building died of shame as his life was torn apart by online gambling addiction, his father said today. Joshua Jones, 23, jumped from the 9th floor balcony after his debts mounted and saw no way of keeping up with the crippling loans he had taken out to feed his habit in Inquest Hurt. The graduate would a job with PwC, one of the world's most prestigious counselling firms, the double life and was addicted to online betting. His father, Martin Tolstoy,
Well, that's from.
I remember that. That was in the newspaper.
Yeah.
I remember that story because I know the company, but and I remember the fact that.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. When you I've been through the whole cycle. When you get to a point where you feel there's point no return, no hope, your future's gone, you lost everything, whether it's your missus, whether it's your house, you've lost everything. There's no hope. Then unfortunately, and that's obviously like mental health issues. And obviously you go that. Generally, this is just generally speaking, is that gambling's all about blokes. All about let's go do our bollocks and the machines, etc. That's all we generally. But 20% of problem gamblers in the UK are now women. Yeah, and the reason, and the main reason is online gambling. That's the main reason. Online gambling and bingo in particular. There are more women frequenting the bookmakers, so that's changed. And women going on machines. It's all increasing. So here's a couple of case studies regarding ladies gambling. Sophie, 27, a recently qualified doctor, is the type of woman the gambling industry currently targeting: young, gainfully employed, and well paid. Her story is one you will see frequently. Lonely and bored, she started out as gambling as a bit of fun, just like me. When I was training, the hours were so long and grueling, I had no social life, and it destroyed my relationship with my long-term boyfriend. The house was empty and I couldn't sleep, so I started playing casino games for fun. I won quite a lot, quite quickly, which we talked about earlier. It was a bust, but the more I played, the more money I lost. In a fortnight, I blew £8,000 and kept trying to win it back. Chase. Without success. Sophie admits to still gambling occasionally and having some debt, but tries to keep her online gambling to 1 day a week. Now, when we talk about, so she's still but let me touch on that point when you say like 1 day a week. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that can gamble without it being an issue. So not everybody gets addicted, and Bradley will talk about why some people get addicted and why some people don't, a bit later. But not everybody gets addicted, so. People can gamble whether it's once a week, whether it's twice a week, and it will never be a problem. But
everything's in moderation.
Yeah. But there are biological reasons and signs in terms of why some people get addicted. It's quite interesting. So, Alison's story, 26, was more extreme. She had her children quite young. Her husband earned a good wage, travelled a lot as he worked in sales. The responsibility and monotony of raising small children, often solo, weighed heavily on Alison, and like Sophie, she started playing harmless games online to blow off steam. She soon racked up £40,000 of debt, all without the knowledge of her husband. It all came to a head when the bailiffs, like I talked about earlier, the bailiffs came calling on Sunday lunch while her in-laws were in attendance. She recalls, I got found out in the most devastating way. It's taken 3 years to begin to pay back my debt and rebuild my marriage. We have no computers, laptops or smartphones in the house. I have an efficient flip phone with no internet. If I see an advert on television, I still get that familiar image.
So what? She's paid back the debt now.
She's still paying the debt.
Husband made a live on basic, fam. No Wi-Fi, nothing. Take the card and go, there's no
That's just an example of women gambling. So we have to remember it's not all about men. It's women and men.
So you really see women go into the shop.
That's why they got the phone.
No, so you say you rarely see it? Yeah, it's quite rare, but there are more and more women going to the shops. There are more and more women. And also where you'll find most of the women that are gambling is in the casinos.
Well, you see,
because the casinos are more.
Casino, like a proper casino.
Yeah, a proper casino, exactly. Because they're more. It's more like glamorous. It's like that kind of thing. So women do like going to casinos. Qualified special addiction counselling, entirely unsurprised by the appeal of gambling to a new generation of women. And these are some of the reasons: escapism in an increasingly tough world. Women tend to be escapists and gamblers. Men risk gamblers. It's a high without the initial guilt or obvious effects of food or alcohol. It's a thrill, a bit like shopping, with the potential to win money rather than spend it. And women are being very cleverly targeted to make it seem fun. Family and friends. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier.
Women trying to escape. Like, what do you mean by that? I don't understand it.
Escape, it can be from anything. It can be from anything from the home, whether you're having arguments, continuous arguments with your husband, that kind of thing.
Technically reality.
Yeah. So,
But sometimes women could be just with routine. So they might be the ones mainly at home with the family life.
Yeah.
And then it's just to have some bit of
Yeah, it's on. They're bored.
Because it's routine what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So when we talk about the impact is huge when gambling addiction. So as I said earlier, I lost my £500,000. I lost my 2 houses. I lost my flat. Lost my cars. Lost the jewelry. Lost everything. So I finished football. Ended up, rented a 1-bedroom flat because all my houses were repossessed. And so when I talk about impacts, the different types of impact. That's a financial impact. Yeah. When we talk about family and friends, I've lost friends along the way because as hopefully you won't realise, but what people do realise is that as time goes on, the people that are close to you, your mates, as an addict, you're continually asking friends and asking family for money. So eventually that phone's going to stop, and eventually you're not going to get those calls. You will fall out with people. And I fell out with people over the years. Lost some good friends. Fortunately for me, I've got a big family, so my family, stood firm. They were never fully aware of the extent of my addiction, and that's obviously me being in denial and not wanting to tell them. They weren't aware until basically when I finished and when I brought the book out. So that was family and friends. Broken relationships. I had a partner 20 years, and she stayed with me throughout the addiction. But to be honest with you, in the end, the amount of times I've let her down, I'm going to do this, I'm going to pay for that, I'm going to pay for that, and then blow my money, the bookers, etc. So in the end, I lost her. So I lost everything. Court hearings, as we talked about with the bankruptcy, that gave me new lease of life. Mental health issues when we're talking about depression in terms of, how you feel on a day-to-day basis, sleeping habits, your behavioural patterns. It's a real tough struggle. It's a real tough struggle. At the moment today, we've got 13% of problem gamblers or gambling addicts that have attempted or committed suicide. And I'm fortunate that I never got to that point. And that's why when I stand here talking to you guys now, I feel fortunate, I feel lucky that I came out the other side, because at the end of the day, I could have been one of those 13%.
You have withdrawals of that? Like when, for the period of time that you wasn't gambling?
Yeah, I had relapses. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, we have relapses. Because obviously, after you've stopped for a while, and because I received treatment and all that, again, we'll talk about therapy later on.
Is that resulting to your mental health? Is that resulting to mental health?
Yeah, my whole self-being, my head was a mess.
Yeah,
so in terms of the finance, in terms of the girlfriend, everything, my whole mental health, so you have. That's what I said earlier. You have to receive help. You have to get help. You can't do it on your own. You can't do it on your own. No way. So you have to get help. Here we go. This is important for Michelle, your team, when we're talking about managers, line managers, teachers, tutors, parents, GPs. So, for instance, I remember a time when I was playing for Stoke, and in the morning, went training, finished training, went to the bookies all day, all afternoon, lost all the money. Then I realised that I couldn't get training the rest of the week, so I thought, right, okay, I've got anyone heard of Lou Macari? No, he's an